You ever see something so comically absurd in a game that you're left incapable of fathoming how the devs even let that happen? And I'm not talking glitches or exploits, but things the devs intentionally designed to be the way they were. Bravely Default 2's Beastmaster class is the most incomprehensible, unhinged game balance travesty I have ever laid eyes on in a turn-based RPG. I intend to talk about why it's broken and how it can be fixed, but before that, we need to know how the Beastmaster works. But before that, a couple disclaimers. 1. There may be some minor visual spoilers for the start of Chapter 2, but nothing serious. 2. I am talking about the Beastmaster class, not Anihal as a character, though for simplicity I'll be using female pronouns anyway. 3. Yes, I know they are called jobs, not classes, but class is the more intuitive word for me, and I think many others. 4. The gameplay shown, and likewise my experiences that I speak from, are played on hard difficulty. And lastly, I have not finished the game yet, however I still feel strongly about making this video now as it's when the issues became clear to me. It should be noted that you can dodge the issue by subclassing the BM, but creating something OP and counting on the player not to use it is still bad design if you ask me. Let's start by defining what the Beastmaster is and does. The Beastmaster, which I will henceforth shorten to BM, is based around capturing enemies found in random encounters and sending them back at the enemy. With each monster serving as a one-use consumable attack, she fundamentally becomes a resource management character. The first problem arises with the capture mechanic. Specifically, it is begging to promote hoarding behaviors. Thematically appropriate as it may be, this isn't good. If you don't understand why item hoarding is a bad thing, pause me and go watch this video by Design Doc. He explains it better than I can, and I don't want to derail this video with an unnecessary tangent. There are 3 aspects that make hoarding an optimal method. First and foremost, catching monsters is easy. An enemy at 1 HP will always catch unless they're scripted to be uncatchable. Getting enemies to 1 HP is a cakewalk thanks to Mercy Strike, and Mercy Smash at higher ranks, which deals good damage but can never kill. Think False Swipe for you Pokemon fans. She also gets Beast Whisperer, a passive with a 30% chance to recruit monsters she deals the finishing blow to. Not only is it easy to catch monsters, but you can store a lot of them, up to 99 of the same species. No, I'm not joking. Yes, I did grind 99 killer ants just to test if that was the cap. The ease of capture isn't what I take issue with, but the high cap certainly does enable hoarding. But she doesn't just enable hoarding, she encourages it. Monsters you capture instead of killing still grant EXP and JP, meaning that what could have been a tactical resource decision is reduced to a mindless highway. Shy of laziness, you have zero excuse not to catch every monster you come across. But you may be thinking to yourself, well, that actually sounds like anti-hoarding design. If they're easy to obtain and there's no penalty for choosing them over growth, you would feel more comfortable using them, right? That is right. At first. And by first, I mean 11 out of 12 class levels. Because everything changes when you hit that job cap and unlock creature comforts. All stats are increased by an amount based on the number of monsters you've captured. As I show you these stat sheets, I want you to keep a few things in mind. All these characters are the same level, they're all rank 12 in their class of choice, and they have all been stripped of their equipment, leaving only their base stats to show for. This is a white mage, this is a vanguard, this is a black mage, and this is a big fucking mistake. These stats are a joke, but I'm not laughing yet. The BM grows so powerful that she effectively invalidates any other class by making it her subclass. She heals better than the white mage, does more damage than the black mage, tanks better than the vanguard, and her ability to mow down random encounters removes all strategy from everything that isn't a boss fight. Remember how I said I wasn't laughing yet? Well, buckle in, cause this is about to go full tilt batshit. While discussing the Beastmaster with a colleague, they asked me a question. Do the stats go down as you use the monsters? Yes, I assumed. The phrasing of the ability implied that, and it would just make sense. Frankly, it would be bull if it wasn't the case. But the more I pondered it, the more I started to have doubts. So I did the only logical thing. I set those 99 killer ants loose. As I stared at these results, my jaw hit the floor. I had to step away from the game just to compose myself over what I was seeing. These stat buffs are permanent. As if the stats weren't broken enough already, now you have no reason not to use the monsters you've been capturing. Well, the utility monsters anyway. The BM's base stats will eventually outscale the damage that most blunt monsters can do. Ironic that fixing the original issue only took breaking everything else. But that got me wondering something else. I already know multiple BMs add to and pull from the same menagerie, so what happens if I max more than one? My colleague suggested the idea that the stats may divide between them, and after seeing that they don't deplete, I pondered if the game might track each monster catch separately despite the shared resource pool. After grinding Gloria to max rank, being careful not to let her capture any monsters of her own, I got my answer. Wrong and wrong. Let's take a moment to recap, shall we? The ability to use the widest moveset in the game through animals, a stacking passive that grants unparalleled stats, making the BM do almost any subclass better than their respective main. There are no diminishing returns on higher stacks, or sharing stacks between multiple party members. It lets you gain stacks for every enemy you face, and provides a safe way to guarantee a capture, with a 30% failsafe if you somehow fuck that up. And I haven't even mentioned the job's other passives. MP Saver reduces casting price by 20%, Raw Power gives up to a 30% attack stat boost as you use Brave attacks, and Spearhead, wrong Spearhead, makes you always go first when wielding a spear. As I was nearly done this video, I learned that the job level cap eventually raises past 12, but I won't be talking about the extra abilities here for two reasons. First, I don't want to extend the spoiler range for the visuals since I want this video to be accessible. Second, adding more to the moveset doesn't make the class any less overpowered. Regardless of whether or not you agree that this is a problem, criticizing something without offering constructive feedback is just bitching. So let's take a look at how the Beastmaster could have been better tuned. The obvious solution is to remove the problematic ability entirely, but that feels like a cop-out. I want to take a crack at curbing the chaos while continuing to keep Creature Comfort's core concept consistent. Capiche? To start off, I'm going to address the two things I would keep. The ease of catching monsters, in a vacuum, I see as a good thing. The cornerstone of the class's identity shouldn't be a frustrating thing to merely obtain. And in a similar light, I would keep the 99 per species cap. Now for changes. First things first, don't grant EXP and JP for captures. Players should have to choose between which resource they want, not be handed both on a silver platter. The most dedicated players will never be stopped from grinding, but for the average player this will make them pick their monsters more carefully without punishing them for experimenting with new species. And most importantly, the change to the stat boosts. The change here is simple but effective, at least on paper. You get the boost for the first instance of each unique monster. First of all, this encourages experimenting and catching new monsters. It also indicates more clearly to the player that using them won't deplete stats. More importantly though, it means that the power curve is under the designer's control, not the player's. There are a finite number of monsters in each area, meaning a set cap for the increases in each chapter. This allows Square to design around this limit and modulate the power curve so it feels rewarding to the player, but never risks getting out of control. Meanwhile, the boosts being tied to an organic mechanic like enemy species keeps the gating from feeling arbitrary from the player's perspective. Nobody likes being told they can't progress because a greater power says nope, but having the reward be tied to something intuitive and natural lets the player feel like they have control even though the devs are pulling the strings. If you wanted to take this a step further, you could have the stats be granted upon using a unique monster for the first time. This would have all the same catching incentives as before, and it would further encourage experimentation and engaging with the BM's best element. Sicking a pack of wild animals on your enemies. Or your friends. Sorry, Gloria. You know, I originally came into this video with a very different attitude. I wanted to make it because I was frustrated. Frustrated that poor game design ruined what had been a really fun experience up until it wasn't. But after learning more about it, by which I mean finding out it was even more broken than I first thought, I've come to peace with the absurdity. I still dropped it from my roster as soon as I finished recording footage for this video, but it's just so ridiculous that I can't even be mad anymore. Bravely Default 2's Beastmaster is a dumpster fire, but a flaming dumpster is one hell of a weapon. If you're the kind of person who derives enjoyment from abusing the most powerful strategies in the game, go wild. You may just be able to find even more ways to break it than I did. And to that I say, more power to you. Literally. Before I go, I just want to make 2 quick shoutouts. First, Design Doc for the video I referenced. If you like what you saw, they make tons of cool videos analyzing staple game mechanics. Second is my thumbnail artist, Victor Manuel. If you're looking for an artist to commission, I can't recommend him enough. This wasn't the first time I've hired him, nor was it the last. And with that, I've been Atom Bacon, and thank you for watching.